Femboy69 finally does a testosterone test, and he believes that he's an incredibly masculine man in the top 1%, and that his testosterone levels are in the thousands. But wait, he looks at his testosterone results and it's only barely 100 nanograms per deciliter. He's barely in the 3 figures. But why aren't I in thousands? Why am I not in the top 1%? But then when we look at his lifestyle, Femboy69, who barely gets up at 4 PM and busts a nut 3 times before he gets out of bed, all to just walk to his chair and then game for the rest of the day, drinking out of that same plastic bottle he's been drinking out of for the past 3-4 years. But then wait, there's you. You look at your testosterone results and your results are in the thousands of nanograms per deciliter. When you wake up, the very first thing you do is you are outside breaking the ice bath as you sit in there for 15-20 minutes. You then cook yourself a full meal that's non-processed in any way whatsoever. You then run to the gym, have a grueling workout, you run back home and you work on your business and you spend the rest of the day with the woman of your dreams. Man, I wish I was like that, man. Testosterone is a very big part of everyone's lives. You know, testosterone and estrogen. Okay, so this is one thing that a lot of people get wrong. You know, they're like, oh, testosterone is the male hormone and estrogen is the female hormone. Yes, testosterone is more predominant in men and estrogen is more predominant in women. But to be honest, we all need them. Kids, women, men need testosterone as we all need estrogen. It's kind of how the body works. It balances itself out. You see, my journey of my researching on testosterone started about over a year ago. Kind of roughly around the time when I first started going to the gym for the very first time. So this was over a year ago now. And I watched a Hamza video and he was talking about how like testosterone could affect, you know, your muscle growth, your muscle progression. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? Let's get tested. Let's see what my testosterone levels are at. So, you know, I ordered the kit, I sent in my blood, and when I got the results, I was depressed. I was severely shocked and depressed at my results because they were very low. Kind of like Femboy69 low. They were very, very low, a lot lower than I thought. And then that's when I sort of like went into a panic and started researching a huge amount, an unnecessary amount about it. But then as it turns out that my results were very normal. This generation, you know, it's very normal for younger men to have testosterone results ranging from 200 to 300 or less, so 100 to 200. It's very normal for testosterone results to be around there. But then when I look at my dad and, you know, his dad, so my granddad's generation, the average testosterone levels back then would be in the thousands. It was actually weird to be under that, so something's changed. So I started researching a lot, more specifically on like how to increase your testosterone. So I started looking into semen retention, NoFap, a dopamine detox, you know, all the kind of things that like can help, and like all the foods to eat to help increase your testosterone. But then there was one major thing that really scared me, and that was one major thing that's actually decreasing our hormones, decreasing our testosterone and estrogen. One major thing that's actually holding us back. And the more I learned about it, the more scared and genuinely shocked I became. And that is microplastics and nanoplastics. You see, microplastics is something major that I had missed. I didn't realize how much of a part it had to play. You see, microplastic is everywhere, and they are very, very small, ranging from 5, nanometers to like 100 nanometers, or even smaller. So they are tiny. They are very, very small, and microplastics is everywhere. Basically, anywhere you can see plastic, anything that has plastic will most likely have microplastic coming off it. So they are everywhere. If I just spitball some examples, you'll be shocked because some of them you won't be realizing. So, as you can probably guess, plastic bottles, plastic bags, shockingly, paper cups. Coffee paper cups. When you think about it, then how does a paper cup actually hold water? Because there's a plastic lining in the middle and on the outside. Or plastic containers for food. Any single plastic container for food, for ready meals you see in the supermarket, all of that has microplastics. So you're eating that into your system. Sea salt, our water, and you're kind of shocked because you're like, wait, it's even our water filtration system isn't even getting rid of microplastics. We'll lead on to why exactly that is later. But it's genuinely shocking. So the sources of microplastic and nanoplastics is everywhere. We can't get rid of it. And you see, There was a study that was done, post-mortem, that microplastics and nanoplastics was found in the brain. So, someone has died, they've lived their life, some doctor is cutting the body, opening up, seeing the brain, and seeing around a teaspoon's worth of micro and nanoplastics that's in the brain. Granted, this is over a lifetime that has been built up, so it's not a lot, but when you think about how small the brain is and the neurons are, it's a little bit more concerning. It's getting into our bodies, right? There's nothing we can do about that. The brain has something known as a BBB, brain-blood barrier. That's something, it literally has its sound. It's a blood barrier that's there to protect our brain from little things that we don't want. Microplastics are getting through that. But where else do we have a blood barrier on where we don't want microplastics? A follicle blood barrier, where the eggs are on a woman. Oh, but we also have a testicular blood barrier. That's kind of where all our genes are. We don't really want microplastics getting into there either. It's getting into there. So it's getting through and it's getting into our body. But plastics have been around for a while. Is it really bad? Is it a bad thing? What's the effect on our bodies? And our body's definitely getting rid of a lot of it. There are studies on our urine that microplastics is there. So our body gets rid of a lot of it, but a lot of it gets stuck in our bodies. And this is where the problem starts to come. There is something known as bisphenol A. I butchered that pronunciation, but basically BPA. Now, this specific thing is present in basically all plastic, unless it says otherwise. It's present in every single plastic, microplastics, nanoplastics, it's present in all of it. Bisphenol A, or BPA, is a known endocrine disruptor. So basically what that means, it messes with your hormones. So this is what's messing up with your testosterone. But not just that. BPA, it's known to mimic estrogen. So it can make the appearance of estrogen. It's also known to get stuck and lodged with estrogen receptors and completely block estrogen. So that can happen. But it gets worse. It also does the exact same thing to androgen receptors, which is basically the testosterone receptors. So BPA can block or mimic the presence of testosterone or estrogen, and it usually gets stuck. So it's usually blocking your testosterone. So this is why microplastics and nanoplastics is bad, because it's getting into our bodies and it's getting into places you don't want it to get, and it's causing problems such as this. This was one major reason to why nowadays a lot of men's testosterone levels are a lot lower than we like. It's because plastic is a lot more predominant in today's age, and this is some of the effects it's having on us. Okay, so let's get a little bit more positive, because what I've just dumped on you is a lot of information. Yeah, you can tell I've done a lot of research. This is literally months of research. There's a lot here. It might be a little bit of a longer video. I don't want to scare you, right? Because it is kind of terrifying, that's a fact. However, let's go a little bit more positive. Microplastic and nanoplastics is everywhere. Plastic is everywhere. We can't really avoid it. We can't, get rid of it because it's everywhere. It's in so many sources. You literally go down for a walk for 5 minutes and the degrading tarmac on tires of cars is literally raining down microplastics onto your body. So literally just walking down the street by the road, you're getting it into your system. So there's not much you can do, right? Microplastics getting into our body, we can't do much. But what are the things that we can do? Because like with any bad habit or any good habit, you only see the consequences over a lifetime of choices. So for example, if you smoked 1 cigarette right now, you're not gonna die, right? 1 cigarette in your whole entire lifetime, and regrettably I've had a couple addictions as well, so I can't really say anything, but 1 cigarette right now, you're not going to die. However, if you went on to smoke every day for the next 20 years, you would then see the consequences of your actual life choices. And that's the same thing with like the positive things, going to the gym, right? You aren't going to see instant muscle growth. You're not going to become wham all of a sudden in the space of a day. You'll see progress over years. So microplastic is getting into our body. But what are the things that we can do to reduce the amount to make a difference over the long term? Because that's what really matters. It's the long term. Here's some of the good things. There are things you can do that can majorly decrease the amount that's getting into your body. So first of all, which was really shocking, but then kind of makes sense, sea salt. There has been lots of studies that says sea salt has BPA. has microplastics in. But then again, when you think about how much plastic is in the ocean, it's not surprising. It's a depressing amount that's in the ocean, and it's depressing overall, but it's also not surprising. So I switched from sea salt to Himalayan salt. I actually prefer the taste of Himalayan salt anyway, and we need sodium in our bodies, so don't just completely cut out salt and be like, salt's bad. We need some of it in our bodies. Our body just needs it to function, so, there's that. But I just switched to Himalayan salt. Next one, plastic bottles. It's kind of an obvious one. If you buy one plastic bottle in the middle of the summer because you forgot your regular metal bottle, you're not going to die. Testosterone isn't going to suddenly plummet. But if you are reusing a plastic bottle throughout the whole of the summer and it's getting hot, so all this microplastic is actually heating up and getting into your system easier, maybe consider getting a metal bottle or a glass bottle, because over the long term that will make a huge difference. Same thing with plastic containers. If you go to the gym a lot, you've been watching my channel for a bit and you're on this sort of like self-improvement sort of journey, you might be going to the gym, which I hope you are, but you're going to the gym, meal prepping. A lot of meal preps is in plastic containers, so maybe get glass ones. A lot of ready meals are in plastic containers. One major shocking thing is the lining of soup cans. Yeah, soup cans, soup tins, the lining has a lot of BPA, a lot. So, sorry, soup companies, but I don't care enough about you guys to give a shit. Sorry, I don't really like soup, so that kind of works out perfectly for me. I don't need soup in my life to the point that the amount of plastic that gets into my body, I can live without it. So, soup lining has a huge amount. As I mentioned earlier, coffee cups, paper cup, takeaway cups, they have a huge amount in there as well. And it was shocking because I was literally sat there, I was thinking, my coffee, because I had the other day, a coffee in a paper cup, and then I was like, oh no, I've got mine, but it's okay. Like, I didn't throw away the coffee, I didn't take it back, I drank it, because, one time isn't going to kill you. It's over a lifetime of choices. But even just opening the coffee cup and smelling it, and I was like, this just smells plasticky. It tastes funny. And now that I know why, we were told as kids, don't heat up, your food in a plastic container. We didn't know why, but now we do, because all of this microplastic is getting into our system, and it's way easier for when that stuff is heated up. So stay away from heated up containers and plastic bags. Bring your own bag. I started doing this, just little things, and in the past year, my testosterone levels have gone up from, which was admittedly quite bad. It was roughly like 150 to 200. So I was on the low end. It's gone up to ranging from around 500 to 700. Now, that's still not amazing. I'm not in the thousands, but I still have a long way to go to learn. And that is a huge amount of improvement just from these little tiny decisions that I've made. You know what? I'm gonna go get a metal bottle. And I got it right here. So it's shocking how little these tiny decisions can make up, but in the long term can make up a huge amount. This is probably quite a shocking video, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a huge dump of information. So this is months and months of research, so please, if you are genuinely interested, I hugely recommend just searching up the case studies on this, because there's a lot. So it's definitely a very predominant thing. An amazing podcast to listen to, which I hugely recommend, is Andrew Huberman. So the Huberman Lab, it's on YouTube or Spotify. So Andrew Huberman, The Effects of Micro and Nanoplastics on Your Health. An amazing podcast. I hugely recommend if you want to really learn more about it and the actual case studies behind this, go check it out, have a good look. I hugely recommend it. I really do hope you enjoyed this video, and don't be scared of plastic, right? It's in our systems, there's not much we can do, but there are things that we can help reduce, and that do make a difference in the long term. This was a video I was genuinely shocked by, and it's not my usual kind of video. I don't usually do your testosterone is dying. I don't usually do those kind of vids, but this was something that was really on my mind because I was genuinely shocked the more I learned about it. And I just want to pass you guys the information and the experience that I've learned. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you are on your own journey on self-improvement, but you don't really know where to begin, this channel, this community will give you all the resources so that you can start on your own journey. So, if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. And the most important thing, stay consistent and don't give up. Oh shit, wow, this is like a 20-minute video. My god. Sorry. It's a little bit of a longer one. As always, self-improvement kids. Mwah.